Hello, this is Mike Seckler. I am the pastor in Oakland, Nebraska at the Evangelical Free Church here. And I was wanting to put a video out today, in particular because today is the last day to register to vote, I believe, here in the state of Nebraska. And so if you're not already registered, I would encourage you to go get registered. I'll put a link underneath this video on the blog post where you can go and actually get registered online. So I want to encourage you to do that. In particular, if you're a Christian, I believe that it is incumbent upon us to be good citizens. And one of the responsibilities and rights that we have as Americans is to vote. It's a way that our country gets governed, and both as good Christians and having the ability to influence the government and being salt and light and having our values be represented by the laws and the legislators and the people that we elect. I think that's important that we take that step. I have voted in every election since I was able to when I was 18. And I just think it's an important step of civic responsibility that Christians should be taking. And as part of that, I believe that we should vote in line with and understand our own values and how that impacts the public. In particular, as Christians, we have a specific understanding of the right and the wrong and the good that God has in mind, and that the good that He has in mind is actually good for society, good for people. And so your goal should be to promote righteous and good laws, and then also to put people in place that will promote those policies and exemplify those values. And so I want to encourage you to vote in line with your Christian values as well. And so therefore, we should take the time to understand who we're voting for and what we're voting for. And again, I'll put a couple of things, links underneath. You can start to study this. In Nebraska, you can go and find out what your ballot would look like. And so there'll be a link where you can just click and see, who is it you're voting for. And so this is an area that I personally, sometimes I won't mark if there's an election that I don't know, any of the choices, or even if there's just one choice, I simply won't mark that person if I don't know who they are. And if it's an issue that I don't understand, I won't put something down on that either. And so therefore, I think it's important to do the research beforehand and vote for those people and policies that most reflect your values that you believe are good and going forward. And I realize that everybody's going to do that. But again, as Christians, we believe that there is some good things that God has given us, and that we have the opportunity to be good citizens, to love our neighbors well by doing this. And that's why we have a positive responsibility to influence the government. It's not the only thing by any means that we should be doing as Christians, and it's maybe not even the most important things, but good things that we should do are still our responsibility. And this is an area that we can do. Oh, you might think my vote doesn't make a difference, but the reality is your ability to vote makes a difference. And you are called to be a good citizen, a good neighbor. And this is one of the ways that we do that. Now, I'm not going to put on any of my social media posts like the ability, I don't really want to have conversation online about some of these things. I don't put a ton of the more contentious issues or policies out online, not because I don't have very, very strong opinions about things, perhaps about certain candidates and which would be best, but I just don't find that to be the most productive place to have those conversations. I'm quite willing to tell you what I think and what I believe, but I would much rather do that in a conversation where we can still respect one another as people and really have an influence. Otherwise, I think there just gets to be a lot of shouting back and forth, and that's not something that I really like to engage in. I'm not saying there isn't a place to do that, but I just don't think the real dialogue happens there. You might be able to put your opinion out there or share something, and that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that on issues. I'm going to talk about one in just a second, but I think that that's not probably the most productive way that I found in the past. Having had some experience with online conversations, they can oftentimes take place in such a way that you're starting to get angry, and you're not productive, and you're not being very respectful and loving towards the other person in the process, and you're really not moving the needle for anybody. So you're just making everything stirred up a little bit, and you're not in fact accomplishing anything, even towards the goal that you want to accomplish, because the type of conversation that's being had is frequently so heated that there's more heat than light. So if you want to talk to me, I really would encourage you, connect with me personally. You can DM me, and I'll try to get a hold of you. I'll even talk with you on the phone. I'll share with you what I think the good is and what I believe about certain issues, certain candidates, and I'll be frank with you in that. But I'm not going to, use these online platforms as the primary place to do that. As a public figure, as a pastor, I really want to spend most of my time in public talking about the goodness of the gospel, the goodness of Jesus, pointing people towards Jesus, encouraging you, just like I am now, to be a good disciple of Jesus, a follower of Jesus. I think that's the best for you and the best for the world. And we should be promoting Christian values. Now, there are certain topics that I think that I'm really pretty strong on, and I think are pretty clear when it comes to Scripture. And one of those that I have consistently been part of in my life is promoting the idea that all life, including unborn human life, has value. We are made in the image of God, and really the only place, and again, I'll go into more detail if you want it, but the only place that we can discover that human life starts, that really is at conception. And there's every other line is arbitrary. And so therefore all human life, once it's identified, once we know about it, should be valued, should be protected. And so therefore I'm very much against the concept of abortion and the issue of abortion. So in Nebraska this year, there are going to be a couple of measures that come up. One is 434 and the other is 439, and they're kind of opposing views. And so I would really encourage a yes vote on 434. It limits, it doesn't completely eliminate, but it at least limits the ability to have abortions beyond a certain time period. And the other one, 439, basically, if you read the wording, and I think the wording is intentionally vague, it would allow abortion on demand up to the full 9-month period. And we know this because it's that same sort of language talking about the health and safety of the mother is used in other places, and that basically can be determined by a woman or a doctor allowing abortion to happen basically for any reason that they would determine up to the full 9-month pregnancy. So I would encourage you, this is the one issue I'm going to talk about specifically, just to understand 434 limits the ability to have abortion. And yeah, some people are going to disagree with that, but then we can talk about the value of human life, where that comes from. And the other one basically says that an unborn child could be killed at any point up to, right up to the time of delivery at 9 months. And that's the practical implication of that law. So I just want you to understand 434 I would encourage a yes vote, and 439 I would encourage a no vote. So that's the one issue. If you want to talk deeper, I would love to talk about that. There's some family issues. I'm going to include a guide that includes a number of family issues that you can go and research that, especially on the Nebraska ballots where I'm living right now. That'll also be a link there. So give you some other issues to talk about. And if you want to go deeper, feel free to contact me personally. I won't be scared to talk about that, but I really want to do that more on a person-to-person basis. So have a great day, and I really, again, just want to encourage you to be a good citizen and vote, because we have salt and light. We have the good news, and part of our responsibility to be good citizens and good neighbors is to promote the good in our society.